Today we are gonna start a small siman. We'll see if we can finish it. Now or never, literally. About the Seder, about when could you eat, drink during the Seder, at least towards the end. Really drink. Siman Taf Pe'al of Shaloi Lishtois Achar Bakosos. You're not allowed to drink after the 4 cups of wine. Bo Sifim, this is 2 sif. Shulchan Aruch says, Achar Bakosos Ein Rasha Lishtois Yain Elamayim. After you drink the 4 cups of wine, you're not allowed to drink more wine. You're only allowed to drink water. It says the Ramah v'kol hamashkin dina kiyayin. All beverages have the halachic status of water, meaning other than water, and have the halachic status of wine. Sorry, we'll have to see if that is actually everything. What counts as water? What is mashkin? Right? What's a beverage over here? Mishu is sinisotov harbe lishto. Someone who's very finicky. He has a big desire to drink. He's able to drink a 5th cup. The Yomer Lav Hallel. And he could say Hallel on that 5th cup that he's gonna drink. And then Hagadol, he says the big Hallel. Shulchan Aruch and Sif Beis says, Chayev Odem La'asok B'chos HaPesach U'Biyasiyas Mitzrayim U'Lesaper Benisim U'Beneflois Shasa Kadosh Baruch Hu Lavaseinu. That a person is obligated to learn the halachas of Pesach and learn about the Exodus and to speak about the miracles and the wondrous acts that Hashem performed for our ancestors. Ad Shetach Defenu Shena, until literally sleep grabs him. I always like saying that the source of this Shulchan Aruch is a Tosefta. It comes from the times already. It's recorded in the times of the Tanaim. And if you look in the Be'er Hagol in those bays, he says Torah in the name of the Tosefta towards the end of Maseches Psachim, based on the story that we discuss in the Haggadah with the 5 rabbis. So the point that should be made over here is that there's more of a halachic reason to stay up all night Pesach learning about Hilchos Pesach, talking about Sipur Yisrael, rather than staying up all night Shavuos. Right? It's funny how it developed the complete opposite. That there's a very strong and large quantity of people who do stay up the whole Shavuos of Pesach. Forget about it. The Ramah concludes the siman by saying, "V'chol din lel rishon yesh gamkin belel sheni." All of the halachas of the first night of Pesach also apply on the second night. This is obviously referring to people who are not in Israel. V'nahagin shaloi likrois al mitasoi rak parsha shema v'loi shar dvarim shekorim b'shar leilos kedei lahagin ki lel shemurim hu mina mazikin. The custom is to only recite on your bed the paragraph of Shema, but not other matters that you would say on other nights. For example, Hamapil, in order to protect, because this is a night of protection. So we'll see if he's referring to when he says V'lo shar dvarim shekorim b'shar leilos, if he's referring to Hamapil or other things by the Shema that we say before we go to sleep, for those who have the custom to say so. So there's definitely a lot of applicable information over here, and there's definitely what to delve into on this short siman. The Mishnah Berurah begins the siman by analyzing the statement of the Shulchan Aruch, who said that after the 4 cups of wine, you're not allowed to drink wine, only water. Harbe tamim yesh bazeh b'poskim. There are many reasons for this in the poskim, why this would be so, that you're not allowed to drink more wine after the 4 cups. You're only allowed to drink water. Yesha kasvu, some write, mishum shemitzvah lasaper, because there's a mitzvah to speak about, mitzvah lasaper b'yasiyas v'shayim, there's a mitzvah to speak about the Exodus. U'beneflo'isav shala kadosh baruch hu afilu kol halayla, and the wondrous acts that Hashem performs for us even the entire night. Kol zman shaloi chataftu sheina, as long as the sleep didn't grab a person. Then there's a mitzvah to discuss these matters. As long as the sleep didn't overcome a person, cause him to fall asleep, it could l'kaime, as we already saw in Sif days. You have to discuss the Exodus, the halachas of Pesach, until literally you fall asleep because of it. That's why you shouldn't drink. So that you won't become intoxicated and then nullify yourself from this mitzvah. In other words, According to this first reason why you're not allowed to drink more wine is because you're going to become intoxicated, and then you won't fulfill this mitzvah discussing next this entire night in the halachos. Lafiza, according to this, according to this logic, this specifically and exclusively applies to wine or other alcoholic beverages, which could cause a person to become intoxicated. That would be a problem to drink after the 4 cups of wine. However, some say another reason. Some say the reason is so that you don't nullify the flavor of matzah in your mouth through drinking. In other words, the last taste in your mouth has to be from the afikomen. And therefore, you can't have other beverages because they would remove that lasting flavor in your mouth. This is why it's prohibited to eat after the Seder because of this reason. According to this reason, any beverage. Any beverage, even if it is not the beverage of the country and it does not intoxicate, would be prohibited. Any beverage would be prohibited according to this. And from the simple language of the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah, it's implied that their opinion is to be stringent according to all these reasons. And therefore, even if it is a non-alcoholic beverage, it would in fact be a issue. You call makom kosva achronim, the achronim might in kever the ginger, the vaser, who had in tea, ginger vaser, tea, or apple tranic, apple juice. Yesh kosvu gam licorice. Some say licorice mutter is permissible. That's not going to nullify the flavor of matzah, and it's like mere water. Achim be'apple tranic, shekoitish is a puchim, but if you're gonna create a fresh drink of apple juice by crushing the apples then and there, the beis avad in the press, Yishlam tam gadol, there's a big taste to that. Some say that that would in fact be prohibited. Even though, even though the lechachila it's correct to be stringent with anything that will nullify the flavor of matzah, mikol makom, the makom soira gadol, nevertheless, in a place of a big need, you could rely on the first logic. To permit drinking other beverages, which will are non-alcoholic. So, in other words, the psak of the Mishnah brews in a pressing situation, non-alcoholic beverages will be allowed. Especially belel sheni bevada yesh lahakal b'shar machkin shein mishakim. Especially on the second night of the Seder, one could certainly be lenient with other beverages that are not alcoholic. Excuse me. Sib Beis. I meant Mishnah Brew Beis. Toiv Harbilicious, the person has desire to drink a lot. Afilu yain, even wine, you could do that and then you say halal afterwards. Tafkim Osima Daim Bracha V'Shos goes to read this specifically referring to if you didn't finish the bracha yet and you drank the 4th cup. As Yachal Lomar Halal Gadol at Sof, then you could say halal until the end. V'lach toim, and to conclude with the bracha, v'lishtois kos chamishus, and drink the 5th cup. Valing par siyam sof bracha. If you already finished the end of the bracha, ein lachzav lomar halal gadol of arach lebasoif. You already finished halal and said the bracha afterwards. You can't now return and then say it again and make a new bracha. The end of halal, you can't do that.
So once you hit nirtza, you're done.
Yeah. They only enacted one bracha. Next mission, Bura Dalid. Here it is. You need to say hamapil. Right? We would have been misled because the Ramah said the custom is you only say the first part of Shema, not other things that you say on other nights. No, that doesn't include hamapil. It's referring to everything else in around Shema and hamapil, but not hamapil itself. If you recited Shema in shul before nighttime, then you need to recite the entire Shema in order to fulfill your obligation, as we learned earlier in Siman Reish Lamed
Yeah,
Hey.
he's talking when you're saying Hamapil, when you're saying Kriya Shema, 'cause I think there's a, I'm not sure if there's, what's it called, Steer Mishnah Berurah. I think at one point he says you shouldn't use that Shema to be Yotzei.
You should
Other
not.
places he says you can, like here.
It's better not to. We're saying over here, if you didn't up until this point,
Aha, okay.
right? You have to look at this Magen Avraham, dissect this with the source. It could very well be also your Isaac mitzvah, patban mitzvah, you're involved with the Seder. You didn't have to stop to say Shema. So now after the Seder, you have the chance to do it on me, whatever, something like that. But yeah, it's better not to say Shema till right before you go to sleep. Right? That's basically the siman over here. Uh, Comes out pressing situation. You could have other beverages.
What if the person is in most kosos? If you would have a cup that is not good for Kiddush, right? Or is it not that halacha by the Abakosos?
But
Because it's Hilchos Kiddush what the kos has to be, right?
yeah,
If it's broken or bent or something like that, right? You shouldn't be using it, right?
yeah.
I don't know if it'd be Yotzei Kiddush, I forgot those halachas, right? But if you would use a kos that is not good for Kiddush, right? Does that preclude you when you drink the Abakosos, or that's only Hilchos Kiddush?
That would be a problem for Abakozos.
So I'm saying if you would have a kos that would be good for Kiddush,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It would look like most of our kosses, they should be able to drink non-Tatzmei beverages without a problem.
It's not just a problem in most of Abakozos. Over here, you got other issues.
Right, there's some kosses for Staker, but you'd fulfill all those if you have that broken kos. And you
Right.
have some at the town, it doesn't take much time in the matzah.
Let's just remind ourselves over here. Here. Let's just remind ourselves over here something.
What are we going back to?
This is Mishnah Brew over here. Oh yeah, the most of Abakozos. But then you also have the reason over here is not to nullify the
Right,
matzah.
it's matzah, but it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have other issues here. He gives a nice summary over here. He says a summary of this simon is as follows. You have wine and other beverages which are intoxicated. Those are prohibited in all situations after the 4 cups of wine. Then you have beverages which are non-alcoholic, for example, juice. Right? So you should be stringent. Present situation, you could be lenient and permit such beverages, especially on the second night. Then, even more lenient, you have the third category, which is coffee, tea without sugar, soda, and water. It's permissible, even lechachila.
He says something seltzer.
What?
He says soda, so it's just plain seltzer, not even flavored. I guess.
It could be flavored,
I think flavored would be okay.
perhaps, which is a chiddush, but however, coffee, tea with sugar will cancel the flavor of the water. Well, of the matzah, excuse me, which would be a problem. Some allow this in a pressing situation, even if it's not very pressing. Some are stringent even with water, certainly with tea and coffee, even if it's without sugar. So you basically have different levels over here. You see in the footnotes this idea.
This matzah is pretty heavy. There
Yeah,
are times you're very thirsty. You have to say it, you need water.
right, correct. That's quite a stringency. You have in the Siman, you have the Ber Hativ over here. Interesting Ber Hativ. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't quote any of this. In the Shari Tshuva, if you look over here, Shema Real Kosovo Gder Shafilu. Oh no, that's That's something else. I remember I saw it over here somewhere. Um, okay, they're going to talk about smoking. At the end of Ber of Aleph, Ubeshtiyas Hatitu and Shakar and Tabak, Kosav Shemer Navsha Yirchuk Mimenu. Someone who guards his soul should distance himself from smoking after the Seder, smoking anything.
Is
So,
that Tito?
yeah, Shakar and Tabak, we call it Tabak.
You drink it?
They used to.
I mean, they used to chew it and spit it. The baseball
This
used to
is,
chew it and spit
this
out
is
the.
yeah. This is where correct. Chewed tobacco. They still people still do. This is where it comes from. They say smoking. They take that berative and apply it. You
But at the
shouldn't.
Bear Hate,
This
they
is
knew it was bad for you. He was just talking about Pesach.
nothing bad. It has to do specifically on the seder because of everything that we're learning. It's going to take away the flavor of the matzah.
Mhm.
Some allow it on the second night. In a place of need, someone have difficulty sleeping without it. Whatever, you could allow it even on the first night.
Difficulties or like by Yochel Liba that I guess he tried to.
Hafik shena, make it easier for him to sleep. See from over here that from the letter of the law, it's okay to smoke. You know, if this was an addicting substance or not, that's before all the studies that came out. We know what it is. Whatever.
Well, first he says Shema Nafsha Yirchak Mizeh, meaning that you shouldn't do it
For
that
sure, you
often.
shouldn't, but you see that from the letter of the law, it's saying it's permitted. End of the day, is it
Sure.
permissible? Yes.
A lot of places would say no.
Right, that's what I'm pointing out. That put two shirim up online already. What does the Torah say about smoking cigarettes and what do you call those things?
Vaping?
Vaping. And another one, what does the Torah say about weed? Put up two things about that at length. Okay, there's an idea of staying up all night to learn about the halachas. When sleep overcomes you, go to sleep. Say over here, if you're involved with pilpul, all the logics back and forth, that's not what this night is about. It's talking about you learn simple halachas, you discuss Yitzias Mitzrayim, even if you don't say the words, right? You just read them. It's talking about after the Haggadah. You're learning more about it. Fill this mitzvah. Someone who's weak, if he's not going to sleep, he's not going to be able to daven properly the next day. It's where big leniency comes from over here. It's better for you to go to sleep, but it's still a mitzvah to strive and to have a little bit of length about Yisrael Shem, at least until halachic midnight.
It's almost like midnight now, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, around it depends where, but in this area it's around there, yeah. There's a custom not to lock the door of the house on Pesach night because it's Leil Shemurim. Leil Shemurim, a night of guarded. It's guarded. Everything's guarded. However, in a place Makom Sheshkiach Hezeka, where damage is prevalent, in Simchin Alanes. You don't rely on a miracle over there, and you should, in fact, lock the door. So this is definitely an interesting idea to wrap the Siman up with over here. I thought this was an interesting Siman to share with everyone. It's not too long, just the right size for one day.
And when you talked about the
Yeah.
Poland, that was only post Seder, not during the Seder.
Even during it's not,
Because
it's
who
not
quoted? 15.
some Sefer, Slach, you know. It's better than schmoozing, obviously, but okay. Any questions on the Siman?
I don't think so. No, wait.
Yeah.
So this Siman was talking about. It was talking about davening Nate's. What? So, how strong is the Indian to like? It's really all people halacha, it's stronger that there's a stronger need to stay up all night by Leil Seder.
Yeah, we didn't mention the word vasikin. We didn't mention the word nates. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with you stay up all night and you discuss the halachas of Pesach. You discuss Yesias Mitzrayim, Sipur Yesias Mitzrayim. It has nothing to do with davening vasikin though.
Oh yeah, yeah, just yeah,
Probably going to be very hard to find the vasikin minyan
Hmm.
right after the Seder also.
yeah.
Rockaway, they still have it in the Good and then the Shifa Rockaway.
The Stone Shifa Rockaway still, I guess they have
You still do it?
No, I haven't done it in a while.
No, not you. I'm saying after on Pesach, after the Seder, on that night, the next morning, they do Vasikin.
I don't. I would think they do. I think they have real stock of guys who
No, I know they're very dedicated.
very good.
They're like this is like their mitzvah. Like they love Vasikin and do or die. Like
But they used to have the good at one point.
it gets to a point where you just the hardcore Vasikin guys. They just
I think our shul they said they're davening half an hour later.
yeah,
After
that's
seven.
what they usually do.
Right?
The hardcore Vasikin guys, what they usually do is even when they wake up at 4:15 in the morning on Shabbos in the summer, they're hardcore, so they take naps.
Yeah.
They build into their system that they wake up earlier, so they have more time that they could get stuff done. They get the stuff done, and then they take a nap, so
In the
they
middle
don't
of the
have to
day,
do it
so
later. That's what it is. So they acclimate. That's all. Okay, so I'll stop this Siman over here.